Ryback beat Big E and Kofi Kingston after Ryback rolled through a crossbody by Kofi and pinned him. I haven't seen somebody win with a move like that with a roll through in years. But Ryback did. So Big E and Kofi, a couple of losers. Well, out of nowhere, Xavier Woods suddenly shows up wearing a white suit and eyeglasses, looking more like Malcolm X Xavier. And he's telling Kofi and Big E to just stop doing what they're told. No more giving. Now we take. And this certainly appeared to be the start of a new Nation of Domination type faction. I answered a mailbag question a long time ago from somebody asking me if I'd like to see a new nation formed. And I said no. I'm not a fan of repackaging old factions. I don't need to see a new Horseman and a new Evolution and a new NWO. Because the new stuff never outlasts or outdoes the old stuff. It's just you can't compare. And all people are going to do is compare the new to the old, and it's never going to measure up. Come up with an original idea every now and then. That's what I say. But this may be different. They're not calling it the Nation. They're not calling it anything right now. It's just 1 week. We have to give it time. But it may be different. The theme is the same. You've got a group of black wrestlers who Woods thinks are being held down by the system, by the company. But, let's see what approach they take to differentiate it from Farouk's group. That version of the Nation, by the way, it wasn't just limited to black wrestlers. They had Crush, they had Savio Vega, PG-13, who were two white boys who acted like they were from the hood. That was basically their gimmick. They were two white boys who thought they, grew up on the mean streets of Brooklyn or something. I don't know. So who's to say they limit this to only black wrestlers? Maybe it's a play off the article on the Atlantic website a few weeks ago that I talked about on the Sound Off. Wouldn't surprise me. Right to Censor was a direct answer to the Parents Television Council, PTC. They got a bunch of sponsors to drop SmackDown back during the UPN days. So maybe this is Vince McMahon's way of venting. I mean, who knows? But you know what? If it gets these guys more TV time and it freshens up their characters, I'm all for it. Xavier Woods has been a glorified jobber since they brought him up from NXT. I basically had given up on the guy. And I also see no meaningful role for him on the show as a wrestler. Yeah, because of his size and the fact they've done nothing with him. Where can he go? I can't even see him wrestling for the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title. There's no meaningful role for this guy on the show. Being a manager might be the best role for him. Look at Big E. They've dropped the ball big time with Big E. I can't believe how badly they've botched him since they brought him to TV without the 5-count gimmick that got him over on NXT. And then you have Kofi Kingston. Kofi hasn't played a heel on TV since he debuted. I've said for years, a heel turn might be exactly what the guy needs. I always envisioned it as, 1 week he shows up, he cut the dreads, we put him in a suit. Putting a guy in a suit is not always the answer, but I think with Kofi it could work. He just needs to show up one day and look radically different, and they never went in that direction with him. But now it looks like for the first time he may be playing the role of heel, and, I'm very intrigued to see him in that role. I'm very intrigued to see if that's the direction they go in. It seems like they are. Will they add a guy like Mark Henry to the group? What about Titus O'Neil? He's another guy who they should be doing more with, and they just make a fool out of the guy every single week. That is when he's actually on TV. Being part of a group like this, I think that could do him wonders. I know they beat him down already. I think it was on Main Event last week. They beat down Titus, but that doesn't mean anything. The Nation beat the crap out of Ahmed Johnson for months. For months, they beat the crap out of Ahmed. And finally, he said, if you can't beat him, join him. And all of a sudden, Ahmed Johnson became a member of the Nation. It means nothing, the fact that they already beat him down. You could still put Titus in there if you want to. But I like this because it came out of nowhere. Here I am, I'm sitting here thinking, God, another meaningless segment, another short match that means nothing, and then all of a sudden, 60 seconds later, they had me hooked. Let these guys run roughshod on the mid-card for a while. That's how I would do it. And then let's see where it goes. Maybe they could even elevate it to a main event level act at some point. But I think at first they have to kind of run through other guys on the mid-card and just build up some heat that way. Poor JTG, though. tough break for him. 7 years with the company. They finally cut him loose, and a few weeks later we have this. That's too bad.